I made sure you guys won't be sleeping anytime soon, so let's begin the story time. The Skinwalkers of Wisconsin. It was a weekend. I was out hunting in the northern forests of Wisconsin. I was walking through the woods. It was near dark when I came across a clearing. It couldn't have been more than 50 feet in diameter. Then I saw it, the largest buck I had ever seen. I then laid down on my stomach and pointed my rifle at its head. The buck must have heard me as it looked in my direction, but it didn't see me, so it went back to grazing in the field. As I pulled the trigger of my rifle, a large branch snapped behind, and I thought I saw a wolf running off beside me, causing me to flinch and miss my shot, hitting the buck in the side of the torso as the buck let out a scream. I know I had hit something important as its side was gushing blood. It still ran, but I knew it would die at some point soon from its wound. I just had to follow the blood as it ran. I followed the blood trail for a few minutes before coming across a much larger clearing, at least 300 feet in diameter. And I saw movement at the other end of the clearing. Thinking it was the buck, I got back onto my stomach and chest and aimed my scope at the movement to see what it was. Seeing a wolf eating the buck, I was disappointed the wolf had killed the buck before I could, but I just watched it, in awe by the cruelty yet beauty of nature. But then I saw something. Was that a hand where the wolf's paw should be? No, it couldn't be. It must just be a scratch from the wolf. But did it have human teeth? I shifted a bit in my spot to try and see better, snapping a twig. There's no way the wolf could have heard me, but its head then snapped up to me on the small raised plateau I was on. It looked like it had human eyes, and it looked like it smiled at me. And it then stood up on its hind legs, still looking at me, deer's throat gripped in its long-fingered hand. This scared me so much, I dropped my rifle, and in the second it took me to look down and grab my rifle again, the wolf was already halfway across the clearing. There was no way it could have gotten there that fast. As I looked back up at it, it stopped running, still looking at me. "What the fuck?" I whispered under my breath, terrified. I stayed where I was and stood up with my rifle aimed at it, still looking at the wolf. There was no way it could be a wolf. But the one thing I've learned from my 16 years of hunting and camping: never turn your back on and run from a predator that was hunting you. The wolf then opened its mouth like it was yawning, but it then let out a scream that sounded part human scream, part howl, and part animalistic screech, as it then looked like the wolf frowned at me like it was disappointed in me standing my ground, before walking back to the deer and crouching down before continuing to eat it. As I then turned and ran for at least an hour back to my car, that horrifying scream playing in my head on repeat before I practically dived into my car. It was the happiest I'd ever been to see that old piece of shit in my entire life as I then drove home. I didn't turn the radio on. I just drove in silence. When I got home, I just cried in my car from fear of what had happened and joy from finally being safe for at least 5 minutes before finally getting out of the car and running into my house, locking every door and window and pulling every curtain shut. If you ever go hunting in the woods of northern Wisconsin, do not stay if you come across a wolf eating. Those things don't like it when you stare. Now it's time for the second story. I think something or someone wants me dead. Car animal mutilation, death, car accident, supernatural phenomena. Sorry there, I've never done this before, but decided I needed guidance, not some shitty Google search. Advice from real people. Something isn't right and I feel as if my days are limited. I feel as though I received only a warning, a gentle warning if anything. So for starters, regarding the story, for some background info, I have a 5-year-old dog named Luna. She's the sweetest girl. Honestly, she only really hates men and children trauma. She's all black apart from her belly cast area, which involves a blonde sort of color and the smallest patch of white on her chest as well, and the blonde sort of color is also on her paws. Another thing regarding this story includes my brother, who we'll call Edward for privacy reasons, who in October of this year passed away in a car accident. And very often since the accident, I dream with him. Another thing of info is actually about me personally. Now I have dreams where it feels absolutely real, meaning I experience pain, have all 5 human senses, and can talk about everything. As though it were a memory, these dreams feel so real that most of the time during reality I talk about my dreams as if it were a memory, not knowing it was a dream. I don't dream of flying cars and shit or like talking animals. No. I dream about a regular day at school and like a trip to the grocery store. Anyway, it's pretty trippy and I think it's called lucid dreamings, but I'm not sure. The bottom line is that they feel so real and I have moments of confusion during the day trying to recall if it was a dream or reality before I start speaking nonsense. But another thing about my dreams also tend to be graphic, which I've grown used to, but another thing, they have never bothered me so much so, to the point I'm genuinely scared in real life. Now let me explain the dumb dream already. While sleeping last night, I had a dream that even now I am left disturbed and paranoid. I feel like something is incredibly wrong. The world seems sideways, and I keep hearing whispering and high-pitched screeching. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. As I explained, I was in bed asleep, and I had a dream. I dreamt that I was asleep, and I was woken up at 4 in the morning to Luna barking her head off, barking in a manner that I had never heard do before, apart from when Min got incredibly close to me and was being creepy a few years back. I recognized the bark, a warning, viscous and angry. Luna is a sweet girl. She only goes crazy like that when it's something bad, something very bad. As she kept getting crazier and crazier, I got concerned and decided to go outside to go see what on earth she was barking about and quiet her down. Just as I took the covers off of myself, I heard a man's voice booming in my head, in my skull. I knew only I could hear him, and he said to me, "Don't open that door to go outside, or you will die." I couldn't tell if it was Edward or God, but whoever it was definitely wasn't fucking around. So I kept my ass put and stayed in bed. My spine tingled. Whatever it was outside driving Luna nuts was bad. I felt it. It was sinister, and I knew what it wanted. It wanted me. But I knew that it was only taunting Luna to draw me out. It wouldn't hurt her. She continued to growl and bark like crazy. The next thing you know, I woke up, not sure if it was reality or a dream, and I looked at my mother and had an instinct to tell her immediately. Normally, I would never even think about telling her shit, but I told her about the dream. She only gasped and asked about Edward. Me and Mother are not close at all, so that's what left me in awe. But like reality, she discouraged everything I said and only questioned me about my deceased older brother. Then I fell back asleep. I woke up again to sunlight shining through the small window in my room, and as I stood up onto the cold floor, I had a gut feeling to look up, so I did. What I saw was anything but normal or even natural. The ceiling was rotting, like something from outside was trying to come in. I said fuck it and headed for the door to head outside. I felt every instinct to not open the door, but I just had to check on Luna. And there she was, swaying gently in the wind. She was hung up by her cord that she has on when she's outside. It wrapped around her neck. It had ripped into her neck, revealing the meat underneath her soft, bloody fur. Her bottom jaw, along with her tongue, was ripped off, leaving blood still trickling down her chest, covering the little piece of white fur on her chest, turning it red, a deep, disgusting red. And I can't forget her eyes. Her poor eyes, her little paws were just relaxed, blood dripping onto the concrete floor below her. After seeing her, all I did was put my hand over my mouth and did my best not to scream while my eyes filled with tears. What the fuck? What the actual fuck happened to Luna? I turned right back around because I knew that was just a slight warning. As much as I wanted to get her down and bury her, I knew it was a trap for me to take time to stay outside, and whoever, or actually whatever the hell the thing was that was trying to get me, was watching and waiting. I lay back in my bed and fell asleep once again, and I woke up to Luna barking like crazy. I didn't get up or move, but this time I absolutely knew it was reality. When I woke up, it was dark out. It's still almost completely dark, and I'm scared to go outside because Luna stopped barking completely and suddenly not too long ago. When I finally got out of bed, I ran to check on Luna. I had a gut feeling to not to open the door, but did. And there she was, wagging her tail as she came to greet me. I held her and cried, cause dude, who the fuck wouldn't? It's scary as shit. Once I got my ass to school, even when I got out of bed, I kept hearing screeching and whispering. I feel like I'm being watched and feel as though I'm going crazy. I also feel as though, as my days are numbered, I feel as if I'm gonna die any day. I'm scared. I'm posting this to seek advice. I don't know what to do.